everyone, I hope you guys are doing well and learning new things every day. So today I have a very interesting topic for you all, which is the where clause in SQL. It's a very basic clause and used in every query. It's very easy to learn as well. So let's get started. Now I have a table called the employees table in which there are 5 columns and only 3 employees for simplification purposes. The columns are ID, first name, last name, salary, and date hired. So we are going to filter out this table based on few conditions that I have taken as an example and using the where clause. So let's see how it works. Now the first condition is we need to return all the columns from employees table for which salaries are greater than or equal to 80,000. Now, before running any code, we should always try and look at the data. So since we have a condition that the salary has to be greater than or equal to 80,000, so we can see from here this table that Jane Williams and Bill Johnson are the 2 employees whose salaries are greater than 80,000. John Smith, who has a salary of 75,000, should get filtered out based on the where clause that we write. So let's get started. Now, select clause is the first clause in any SQL query. It lets us select the columns that we want. So in this question, we need to return all the columns. That's why we have used the asterisk mark here. Second thing is the from clause. So we need to mention the table name. So employees is our table. And the third clause is the where clause. Now we are going to use the salary column because that is a condition. And this will help us to filter out the data. So now salary is more than or equal to 80,000. And it should return Jane Williams and Bill Johnson as the 2 employees who have a salary of more than or equal to 80,000. Let's see. So as expected, it returned those 2 employees. So I hope this condition is clear. Let's get on to the next condition. Now we need to return all the employees whose salary is higher than or equal to 80,000. So this is same as the first condition that we had and hired since 2019. Now our table was 3 employees and they have different dates of hiring. So based on this first condition, we saw that Jane Williams and Bill Johnson had salaries more than or equal to 80,000. But with this, we have one more condition that hired since 2019. So since we have these 2 employees here, we need to also look at the date of hiring. So Bill Johnson, even though is fulfilling our criteria of salary more than or equal to 80,000, was hired in 2018. And based on this condition, we need to return all the employees who were hired since 2019. So the query that we write should return only Jane Williams because he has a salary of more than or equal to 80,000 and was hired after 2019. So let's write that query. So as we have already covered that select and from clause will come first and then the where clause will come. So we need to first mention the salary criteria, which is more than 80,000. And the second condition is the date of hiring. So we need to mention and in between the 2 criteria and then the date hired. So this has to be greater than or equal to 2019. Since the date of hiring is since 2019. And this should return Jane Williams as the only employee who is fulfilling our criteria, which is correct as per our code. So Jane Williams has a salary of more than or equal to 80,000 and was hired since 2019. So I hope this is clear as well. Using 2 conditions in the where clause, let's move on to the third condition that we have. Now, it asks us to return all employees whose last name is not Williams. So we need to look at the employees table again and return all those employees whose last name is not Williams. So as we can see from this table, only Jane Williams is the person whose last name is Williams. Rest John Smith and Bill Johnson do not have the last names as Williams. So we need to write query in such a manner that John Smith and Bill Johnson are produced in the output. So again, we will mention the where clause here, and we are going to use the last name as a criteria here, and that will be not equal to Williams. So not equal to is an operator which is used when we want to negate a condition. So where last name is not equal to Williams. Apart from this exclamation mark and equal to, you can also use this sign here. So this also means negation of a condition. So we're going to run this query and see the output. So John Smith and Bill Johnson are the two employees whose last names are not Williams. So let's move on to the next condition. So now we need to return all the employees whose first name is not John. So again, it's a negation of a condition. So let's look at the employees again. And we need to find out the employee whose first name is not John. So John Smith has the first name of John. So this should be filtered out. Jane Williams and Bill Johnson are good to go in the filtered out data. So again, we will be using the where clause here, and we will use first name as the column for the criteria, for the filtering criteria. Again, we will be using the negation condition here, and we will mention that John first name should not be equal to John. And this should give us Jane Williams and Bill Johnson as the two employees. Let's run it. So Jane Williams and Bill Johnson are the two employees whose first name is not John. So this code is good to go as well. Now let's move on to the last condition that we have. So we need to find out all the employees whose first name is not John. So this is what we just did. They are earning a salary of more than equal to 80,000 and were hired after 2019. So here we have three conditions. So based on our data, let's first try to understand without any code. So the employee whose first name is not John. So these are the two employees whose first names are not John, Jane Williams and Bill Johnson. They should earn a salary of more than or equal to 80,000. So they both are earning a salary of more than 80,000. So they still fulfill a condition and were hired after 2019. So Bill Johnson was hired after 2018 and only Jane Williams was hired after 2019. So Jane Williams is the only person who's fulfilling all the three criteria that we have. So let's write the where clause here. So first where clause is the first name should not be John. So we will first mention the first name column. That should not be John. We need to mention and to use the second where condition. So he should earn a salary of more than or equal to 80,000. So second column we need to mention is salary. And this should be more than or equal to 80,000. And we have one more condition of date hired. So we're going to again write and our third column is the hired date. That should be more than or equal to 2019. So this should give us Jane Williams as the only employee who was fulfilling all the three criteria. And that's correct as well. Jane Williams is the employee whose first name is not John, whose salary is more than equal to 80,000 and who was hired after 2019. So these are the ways you can use the where clause. We have different kinds of operators. So equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So you should really explore all these operators because these are really useful and it will be used in your work life as well. So keep exploring, keep experimenting and practicing, obviously. So I'll be putting up more videos on advanced topics as we progress, and it will be up soon. So stay tuned. Thank you.